When the entire nation works from home, the healthcare workers are battling the virus on the forefront. We have heard the inspirational tales of doctors and nurses across the world. We have also seen the society that they have been fighting for deny them the right to rest in peace. For the last episode of the season 1 of Campus Convo, we have someone right from the tip of the spear fighting the virus, Dr. Adarsh Pratap Singh. He is completing his MS in General Surgery from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, or AIIMS. He's also the president of the Residents Doctors Association and has been vocal about issues healthcare workers have faced during the pandemic. I'm Prajan Mudaz, and this is Campus Convo. Welcome to Campus Convo, Adarsh. You go to one of the most reputed medical colleges in India. You have ministers coming in, you have ordinary people coming in.
Right.
Uh, you have a lot of patients that to tend to, and especially during these times, obviously your hands are full. When you wake up every morning, do you still feel scared that you have to go back to the hospital where the infection is raging? Or now are you used to it? And some people also tend to joke about serious stuff just to cope with it.
Yeah,
How do you deal with the pressure and that sort of scare that you also might contract the disease?
basically being a healthcare worker, like it's an opportunity to serve our country with your 100% efforts. So initially, if you see when pandemic started, so our fear was to see the uh, preparedness of the hospitals and to see the preparedness of the entire country. If you see the public healthcare system in this like in our country, it is like chronically underinvested. So basically my fear was like because in my medical career I am witnessing this pandemic for the first time. So for me, how it will go, like every day, there were new guidelines from the World Health Organization. Every time the magnitude of patient were on increasing trend. So it was all unpredictable that another day what will happen, another day what will happen. So it was not about the fear, but it was about I was worried about the preparedness and being an RDA president also. So I was concerned about my all the residents are they are safer to work in our hospital. So primarily it was like basically it was like an emergency and we all were together and all the association members were together and we have to have a daily basis meetings with the administration to see our preparedness, like how we can improve much and how we can design the patient management. So we were basically more focused on that side.
While all of us are sitting at home, you other workers are going to the hospital every day. From morning to evening, you're there, you're working hard. What is a day like in a young doctor's life during COVID? How does it
So
start? What do you go through the entire day?
during this pandemic, if you see for all the young doctors and even the senior doctors, it must be the first exposure. So if you see, and while like everyone, this was the first time when we all healthcare worker have to work with the PPE, and
Mm.
every day when you awake and you will see that you have to go to the hospital. But overall, like if you see, uh, as our healthcare structure is not that well equipped, and we were mainly focused everything on this uh, COVID pandemic only. So in if you see in my case, like I am doing my SRSIP in Department of Surgery. So all the elective cases has been stopped, all the routine OPD has been stopped. So we were basically focused on the COVID care only. So entire staff was directed towards the COVID pandemic only. A little bit, if you see, it was like we used to get a S number of days to the hospitals, but it was more challenging for all of us. Like working in PPE and operating in PPE is like out of.
To wear the PPE for straight 6 hours, I presume, and you cannot even relieve yourselves uh, in that duration. And that's a lot of pressure, like you said. And adding to that pressure is also the harassment that doctors faced, uh, mostly during the initial days of the pandemic and the lockdown. When people were at home, these doctors were not let inside their own homes because the landlords or their societies said, you are working in a hospital, you'll bring back the infection, you'll infect us, you're not allowed in. Some of the doctors were even forced to stay for a few nights in the restrooms of their hospitals because they had nowhere to go to.
Yeah.
uh, what do you think is the right way to sensitize people about this issue? Because they're obviously scared. They're scared that their family might get infected, and you can't really take away that from them. They are correct that they might be infected, not from the doctors, from somewhere else maybe. But how do you sensitize people about this issue? How do you let them know that it's okay and these people are working for you? Uh, how do you do that?
So in this pandemic time, also the uh, concerns of people were actually genuine also, but the government policies and the laws should be prepared beforehand, because like when the incidences keeps on increasing, and apart from pandemic also, if you see the assault over the healthcare workers is as usual as like anything. So in the pandemic, like government should have done more awareness program in the terms of, though the government has attempted to do all the awareness programs, but apart from the awareness program, you have to also include the strict laws for the common people. And apart from that, I like from the beginning of pandemic only, I was always an opinion about that our country has very has number of healthcare workers, and we should provide them a safer and secure accommodation also, and which should be nearby to your hospital, and it should be out of the containment zones also. And we have to and along with that, we have to sensitize people that all the healthcare workers who are working in that area, they used to work with all the equipments, with all the PPE, and so the transmission risk from healthcare is uh, healthcare is very
Uh,
minimal. Like
During this time, I'm sure you have had a ton of experience. Can you share some with us? What were some of the stories that will always stay with you?
101 case of acute appendicitis entered into the emergency, and the appendix was very much inflamed and enlarged, and it was about to rupture. So we have to take this patient into the emergency OT. So with all PPE, because the RT-PCR facility was not that 24 into 7, and we took the patient into OT, we have to operate him with all the PPE. So it was around midnight, 3 or 4 o'clock. So when I opened the abdomen, so appendix was adherent to adjacent visceral organs. So it was very difficult to operate. So in the midnight, if you see, and then this entire goggles and face shield, it started fogging like anything. So in the midnight, you see your abdomen, the patient abdomen is opened, and you are not able to see anything. And it was the first time I was operating with PPE in the midnight as an emergency case. So in the middle of the case, I have to remove all the face shield and the goggles. Then I have to operate that patient.
As the RDA president, you must have heard a ton of those complaints or stories from people that they don't have equipment or they don't have enough manpower. Uh, what were the most harrowing experiences that people have shared till date with you during the pandemic? What is the condition? See, even in not so distant places, there are problems with less manpower. There are not many technicians or lab assistants to assist the doctors with the machines, with the whatever lab work that is there. Uh, what are one of the or a few of the most harrowing experiences that you've heard from your colleagues and junior doctors around the country?
The people were not able to get a PPE. They used to get a plastic PPE, or they used to get a cloth. Even they have wear the raincoats also. There was no oxygen points also. There were no adequate number of ventilators. So in the beginning also, then it is like everything comes into the healthcare workers. From the hospital administration has also tortured my colleague if they ask for the genuine quality of the PPE and other equipment. So these were like they have been targeted in on multiple aspects, and they have been thrown out of the college also. They have been transferred to some another college as well. So these are the things, if you see in this situation of the national crisis, our healthcare workers whose number are very less, if you see the country healthcare structure, the number of heads per thousand population is around 0.4. If you compare with the other countries, it is around 2 to 4. So when these countries were in such a situation, like they were not able to save the lives of people. So in our country, where we are so much behind them, and we also have the limited number of healthcare workers, still our limited healthcare workers were not safe, secure in all the aspect. If you see either in accommodation or from the assault security of the doctor at the workplace. So these are huge number of lists that we have all have seen across the country, even in this um, national crisis of COVID-19 pandemic.
And has the situation improved? Because we've seen the government trying to open up more COVID beds. We are producing PPEs now. Uh, that problem has been solved according to reports. What do you see on ground? Would you say that the problem is sort of at a stage where you can work with it?
Yeah, if you see, I think I am also agree with it. I think if you see almost in most of the states, if you see the healthcare workers, like they are getting PPE, because PP production is an acute thing that you can manage over the time. But if you see the hospital per se, hospital infrastructures, number of ICU beds, and because you cannot increase the ICU bed as like anything, because you don't have healthcare workers, you don't have the OT technician, you don't have like mechanical ventilator technician. So all over the healthcare like infrastructure has not increased in a significant uh, mm, matter, but the PPE issue and some sort of things has been improved a lot.
Sort of bring this conversation to an end. Uh, a lot of doctors who have lived through and battled through epidemics, plagues, uh, they tell stories of how they, powered through that phase. They helped so many people, and how they won that battle. Uh, Say years from now, do you see yourself in that position? Do you think it will be a sad story to tell, or do you think it's always a story of hope more than anything else?
It's basically, if you see entire situation, though it is still ongoing. So in our country, we have like this pandemic has uncovered our infrastructure, healthcare infrastructure, our deficiencies in all the aspect, our economy. So this is like I see this pandemic as a lesson for the country, where we should prioritize the things, like what are the things which are basic for the common man. You have to focus on the health care, you have to focus on the basic needs of the common people. So the entire country when focus in the COVID care only. If you see the number of patients who used to come in AIMS OPD, it was around 10,000 per day. So when the AIMS was completely out for around 4 months. So if you calculate from that, so it was around 1.2 million patients who was supposed to enter into the AIMS hospital. If you see the entire country, the number of medical college, number of healthcare facilities, how many patients were not able to have the medical facilities, and we don't know how many have died out of it, and there is no accountability also, because while the pandemic is ongoing, the accountability how they have died and how many have died, the accountability is also not there. So this pandemic is very uh, hassle for our government as well as the policy maker to teach us, all of us, like like what are our top priorities, and to what extent we have to focus on that. And it is not that sad to tell, because everyone is not able to see this pandemic. I have my hundreds of experience to tell upcoming generations of medical field, and I think I have not see or heard the pandemic in such a big spectrum from my senior professors and all. So for the upcoming healthcare generations, I can tell my experience.
Thank you, Adarsh, for sharing your experience and telling us all about how it's been during the pandemic. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Do feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.